Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about what you can do as a tech leader to make sure that you're really tapping into that ability to connect with your people and looking at empathy. Recently, it was World Health Day, and this got me thinking about how tech leaders are really struggling to connect with their people from the perspective of, oh my goodness, like they are not getting the things done. They're not performing, they're struggling. Maybe like the team members are not actually making those connections. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, I want to really share some ideas with you around this that's going to help you to understand more about why you are or are not failing as a tech leader when it comes to this whole idea about mental health. So, by the way, while I'm talking today, if this resonates with you and you're wanting some help, go ahead and send me a message. Let's get in touch. Let's talk more specifically and privately about your team and what is going on and how I can support you to really help you to grow as a leader. And so that way you can become that tech leader that everyone wants to work for. So let's talk a little bit about mental health for a moment and what it is, because you guys, there's some things around this that is really important for you to recognize that these problems are not happening because of you and who you are as a leader. So on Wikipedia, when we look at what the definition of mental health is, it says this: mental health encompasses emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It influences cognition, perception, and behavior. It also determines how an individual handles stress, interpersonal relationships, and decision-making. Mental health includes subjective well-being, perceived self-efficiency, autonomy, competence, intergenerational dependence, and self-actualization of one's intellectual and emotional potential, among others. Right? This is a lot, you guys. Just reading this definition is like, holy moly, there is so much packed into this. So one other thing I want you to understand too is that when you look at statistics in North America, the CDC has determined that 50% will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their lifetime. So stop and think about that for a moment. 50% of the people that you're working with, and by the way, you are not exempt from that 50%, 50% of people are dealing with something in their lifetime. Okay? So if you have somebody join your team and they're in their 40s, they might be halfway through their lifetime. Something may have already hit them and affected them, or it might happen later, right? In fact, just the other day, I was on a call with a gentleman, MBA. He has worked in tech leadership. He's done a lot of dealing with tech teams, hands-on tech teams. And he had recently left 2 different companies because he was dealing with managers who couldn't understand where he was coming from. Here's a gentleman who has a therapist. He is on drugs to help him with regulating his emotions. Okay, so he's taking some kind of like antidepressant medicines or something like that. And so that's the backstory. That's what's going on with him. That's what he brings to the table. Not to mention, he's married and he's got a few children. Okay, young kids, like elementary age and younger. Okay, and so he's bringing all that to the table. And he did not do a very good job of recognizing for himself that he was needing some additional support from his manager, and he had not articulated it to them. And so then his manager, not understanding what's going on, realizes, okay, this guy is not a good fit for us. But the whole story around mental health, it didn't come forward. It wasn't something that he had told the CTO what was going on. Okay, so when we unpack that story and we think about you, if you are a tech leader and you've got people who are coming onto your team, 50% of them may have already had something that's been diagnosed as a mental illness, or they may have it diagnosed during that time that they're working with you. So you want to think about, okay, well, if that's the situation, if that is what is going on out there, right, then what can you do as a leader to help to really make sure that you're doing your part to be that safe manager, that safe place where people are going to get the support that they need? Another interesting statistic that also comes from the CDC is that 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year? Okay, so 1 in 5. So I want you to think about that. In this year, okay, 20% of your people are going to experience something. Something is going to happen. Now, it may not be like a long-term going to affect them for the rest of their lives. It could be situational. Let's say, for example, you have somebody who's going through cancer. I was recently talking to a client who he had an employee who was going through cancer himself, and they were navigating how do they really deal with helping to support that employee so that they can get the care that they need and also make sure that tasks are getting done. The employee wanted to work. For him, he loved being in software development and whatnot, but he was really struggling because he's got these medical issues going on too. So the senior director who's dealing with this, he's got to balance this stuff, right? He's trying to figure out, how can I make sure that I can show empathy to this guy and still make sure that I'm getting my job done? Because, when you're in tech leadership, you have goals and things that you need to make sure that you're accomplishing, and that you need your team to make sure collectively that they're getting it done. And so I'm sharing this with you because this is completely out of your control, my friends. You cannot control whether or not your people are going to have a mental illness episode. You cannot control if all of a sudden they're going to hit a very depressive state, or if they're going to have some situational anxiety, or insert whatever it is, okay? You can't control that, but you can control what you can do as a leader when those things are showing up, and how are you going to help them, and what are you going to do so that you can have better conversations with them. So with that said, a couple of things I want you to think about. One is kindness and one is compassion. Kindness is really dealing with that soft side of, okay, what can we do to be kind for this person? Compassion is really understanding, where is that person coming from? So you can be kind to somebody and you don't ever have to even have any kind of a conversation around, okay, well, what's really, really going on, right? Compassion has more of the perspective of, let's have that private conversation. What's happening? Tell me about what's going on in your life. And so then you start to really have more compassion. And it's kind of like that whole, saying of, if you want to understand somebody, just walk a mile in their shoes, right? And so that's really more compassion is coming from. Kindness, there's just the common courtesy of being kind, right? You can think about when you're walking inside of a store and somebody holds a door for you, right? They're being kind, right? And what's a nice thing to do back? Exactly, to say thank you, right? That's easy. That makes sense. That is kindness. Now, you could say, well, are they being compassionate toward me? Yeah, they are, definitely, because they maybe have had somebody hold the door for them before, right? Or maybe they needed somebody to hold the door for them and the person didn't do it. And now they see you with your hands full and they're going to hold the door for you because they've been there before. And so kindness and compassion is a bit interchangeable. Okay, so you've got a little bit of that going on. And then the other piece that you want to think about with the kindness and compassion is, you deserve, as a leader, you deserve to have compassion for yourself. So if you're going through a depressive state, if you're dealing with intense stuff happening in your own social circles, right? Maybe you have a family member that's really ill, or they're going through some mental health issues, and you as a parent, maybe you're really worried about that child, right? That is real life stuff, and you cannot control. You know this. If you're a parent, you know this. You can't control what's going to happen for your children, okay? But you can put those structures in place to love on them, right? And to put that scaffolding around and to love on them and to support them, okay? Same thing with an employee. You can't control whether or not they're going to have something that's going to hit. But that empathetic part of you, hopefully, would say, okay, they're struggling. They've got this thing going down. Let's build some scaffolding around them. Let's help them to succeed, okay? And in doing so, it can make a huge difference for how they perceive you and how they trust you, and also taking care of yourself, right? And so keep that in mind when you're thinking about being compassionate for others. Be compassionate for yourself too. In fact, we have a program here inside of Moving Forward Solutions that is called Career Marks. And it is self-paced training that really helps you as a leader to support your people so that they can get the training that they need so they can thrive in the workplace. And MARKS is an acronym. So the K in MARKS stands for kindness and compassion. And within Career Marks, there's a bunch of different little modules and lessons. And so within that, the whole thing around kindness and compassion, there are specific lessons that are there to help you so you can help your employees learn how to have more kindness for each other, how to have more compassion. And this was created because I've talked to so many tech leaders that are just pulling their hair out saying, what is going on? I am struggling here. Why are my people not connecting? Why are they not getting the work done? Why do we keep hitting deadlines or whatever it is, right? And so it's amazing how so much of it comes down to what's between your two ears, right? This whole mindset thing. So that's why I wanted to make sure I shared this stuff with you right now, because a lot of people are becoming so much more aware of mental health and what this can do to help you succeed. And again, you're only a bad leader if you try to ignore this stuff. And I don't think you want to be a bad leader. I don't think that's what you want, right? Please don't be that kind of leader, right? And if you're thinking, boy, I've got to get some help, I've got to get some insight about what's going on here, message me. Let's talk. Let's talk about what can do to help you so that you can succeed as your people can thrive. Let's really help you to become that tech leader that everyone wants to work for. I look forward to talking with you, and good luck to you. Hope you have a great rest of your day.